about low carbon economies, and we are talking about efficient economies. So this is why this is timely, because one, we need to look after our forests because of the biodiversity and all the benefits that we get out of our forests. It's not only about keeping our forests for economic gains, but it's more to do with the environmental and the social benefits as well.
The Reforest Fiji project is working to plant trees in Vitilevu's sugarcane belt areas to support the Fiji sugar industry following the removal of the sugar subsidy by the European Union.
The target area is about 6,000 hectares. After 2 years, we have managed to only plant about 200 hectares. And it became apparent there were a number of challenges why we were not achieving the target areas that we want to plant. One of the challenges was the high risk of damage by fires. And if you look at the kind of damage that's happening now even to companies like Fiji Pine Limited, you would see the immense losses in terms of economic income losses and in terms of environmental losses. And that's one of the reasons why the project started looking at how best we can handle this fire challenge. And we thought that perhaps a forest fire management strategy for Fiji is the way to go.
In the past 4 years, between 2014 to 2017, over 6,000 hectares of pine forest have been destroyed by fires. For a small country like Fiji, this is a huge loss in terms of revenue.
So it's not only economic losses. If you look at the timber that we get, 85% actually comes from plantations. So that is like 85% of our timber resources is going down the drain. And the company has invested so much, the government has invested so much, the foresters have invested so much in planting those areas, and the fire just takes it all away. What repetitive burning does is like it erodes the top layer. So eventually there comes a time where you cannot plant on this land because they are too damaged.
The social, environment and economic consequences of fires have far-reaching effects, and communities where forest fires are prevalent understand very little about the huge impact of these fires on the environment and the economy of the country.
When they see a fire goes up, people say, oh yeah, it's from somebody's garden. I think they're preparing to plant. It gets to a point now where fire goes on for days, because back in those days it may rain, you may have a dry season, but some rain in between. Now, when it's dry, it's really dry. So you see fires goes on for 1 day, 2 days, and it start to get onto areas where we thought it'd never reach. Start to jump into farms. There are some communities who have sandalwood plantation. It's starting to burn cattle and the dams, their pipes, and a lot of the time, because they build their dam in there and the pipes are not buried, they're just on the ground.
The frequencies in fires has also been attributed to lengthy drier periods resulting in prolonged droughts. With the changes in weather patterns, climate change is also seen as a contributing factor.
We've also found that fire is becoming a bigger issue in Fiji by virtue of the changing climate. So in our conversations with the Fiji Met Service, we understand that the climate is becoming a lot drier. There's a longer period of dry, and last 4 years has seen drought during those dry periods.
The concerted effort of planting trees has seen the rise in the number of nurseries where the young plants are nurtured before being transplanted to various areas for planting.
What we did was we thought that perhaps the best thing to do is to empower the existing nurseries rather than the project building its own nursery. So we contracted about probably 5 to 6 nurseries who are relatively big in terms of our context, and also already doing some commercial production.
Our forests provide a richness from which we all benefit from, and the monetary gains contribute to the economy of the country.
More and more tourists like to go into the forest, into green areas, and trek and walk and so on. if we are destroying that green image that we have and destroying our biodiversity, that is not in the best interest of tourism sector, and it's not in the best interest of our economy and the people that derive an income from tourism.
Sustainable development is not only about economic benefits. We are mindful of the environmental benefits and of course the social implications as well. And this is why this strategy is timely, and of course I'm optimistic that government will give it all the support given the importance of forests in our environment and of course in our economy as well.
There is much work that still needs to be done to educate and raise public awareness of the damaging effects of indiscriminate burning. This needs to be carried out in schools and communities, and leaders need to be involved in disseminating information on the hazards of fires and the harmful and long-term effects it can cause.
Well, I hope to see a reduction in fire damage, and appreciation by our Tauke landowners that they have a problem and they need to do something about it. We've talked so much about land ownership, but not realizing that the lands that they own, they've already lost it. I'm hoping that with the reduction of fire, there'll be a lot more opportunities for these areas to be rehabilitated.